Hello students, I welcome you to the second part of our economy, January month, right? Okay, so we're going to start with the Minerals Law Amendment Ordinance Act. Now, first of all, this particular ordinance actually was in the news in the January month, but later on ordinance was dropped and the government brought a full-fledged bill for it. And finally, it was also passed in both Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. Now, this particular bills also becomes important in our preparation. Why? Now, if you see in the current context, in the COVID-19 context, there has been, if you have apart from the COVID, you have seen the news, the main one of the major focus has been on the coal, and to become atmanirbhar on coal, that means become self-reliant on the coal, because we have so much reserves but still we are importing a lot of coal. In this context, this particular law becomes very important. Right. So what are the different provisions? These provisions can be asked in the prelims examination. That is why we have covered it in relatively more detail. Right. So it amends the MMDR Act, Minerals, Mines and Minerals Development and the Regulation Act. If you go into a previous economy session, so in that I have in detail discussed about the condition of the coal, right? How it was before in the private hand, then it was nationalized, and recently after this coal block and everything, government had decided to open up the coal sector for the private players as well. Okay, and so some of the provisions we will see. So this provides for the auction and the allocation of the mine whose allocation was cancelled by the Supreme Court in 2015, right? So basically these are the major provisions. These are just the highlights of it. Then we'll discuss one by one. So first is removal of the restriction of the end use of the coal. So for example, a company is producing coal. Earlier there were restrictions. For example, you can do it for steel or you can do for the captive use. Now there is no end use. That means the company who will be excavating it can use it for the any purpose it wants. Right, so there will be no restrictions. You can see everywhere the focus is on ease of increasing the ease of doing business, reducing the regulatory cholesterol, reducing the regulatory procedures that are having the shackles on the mineral sector, especially on the coal. Right. Second point, eligibility for the auction of coal and lignite blocks. So one of the specific things that they have said, there is no need of the prior experience. Earlier they used to ask for some prior experience in the excavation, in the mining, in the both prospecting and mining. Now they are not asking for any prior experience. Then composite license for prospecting and mining. Earlier different licenses were being given. Now they have said, okay, one combined license will be given. If you see, this is on the same lines on done for the oil as well. Previously 2 years or 2 years back, there was a policy with respect to the oil. The same things was done earlier also in that sector. Different licenses were being given. Now composite license as have been given in that also 2 years back, and now it is also done in the mineral sector. Then those who are doing the reconnaissance will also be given the licenses if they want to do the prospecting and the mining part. Then if state governments do not need the prior approval of the central government in some of the cases, two cases we will see, then this is an interesting thing. In fact, that should have been done very earlier, this advance action for the auction. For example, your limit is finishing on this particular deadline. So after the deadline is finished, then the new auctions are being done. So the this particular act says these auctions need to be done beforehand, before this date comes, so that after this date comes, the process should continue. There should not be any abrupt change in between. Right? It should have been done previously. There was no point of delaying it. Right? Okay, so let us discuss a few key amendments. So composite licenses are there. Okay, removal on the restrictions on the end use of the gold, we have discussed that. Clarifies the eligibility for the auction, that means no prior experience is needed. Then transfer, okay, that's not. Then add a new type of license called prospecting license come mining lease. So this is an important part. So that's what we were saying. So both prospecting and mining combined licenses. Okay, so it provides that prior approval thing, prior approval of the central government, not required in certain cases. Which are these two cases? So these two cases are that, first, if the allocations have been done by the central government. So the allocations have been done by the central government, then there is no need of the no need of the central government's permission again. So mining block has been reserved by the central state government for to conserve mineral. Then also the state governments do not require the permission of the central government. Okay, right. So those who are having the holders of this NREP, that is National Resource Efficiency Policy permits, they will be they can apply for the prospecting license come mining lease. So these will the people who are the doing the reconnaissance, those who are doing the reconnaissance permits, right? So they will be given the opportunity to mine and for the doing the prospecting and the mining, right? So those who will be doing, for example, you understand reconnaissance is the first point. Reconnaissance means you go and observe the area. Reconnaissance is a very common term. In fact, it is being used in engineering a lot. Then you do the prospecting. Okay, how much technical details are there, right? Then finally the mining operation starts. So those who are doing this will also be given these two options. Okay, right. Okay, right. So this was the term I was explaining that it should have been done earlier. It provides that the state government can take the advance action for the mining lease before it expires, right? So you can see earlier MMDR Act permit auction only after the end of the lease period. So the lease period has ended, then the auctions will take place. You can see will be an abrupt time loss will be there. Now this flaw has been removed, right? So you can see mining industry serves as a base for our power sector. Around 72% of Indian current has been used by the coal, right? Coal has been seen as a necessary evil for India. It is evil because of the environmental cost and other thing, but it is also necessary because of our developmental needs, right? India imports around 50% of its coal, despite having around the fourth largest coal reserves. So that is a thing. For coal, just one more thing. For coal, please also take care. Coal, it becomes important in our location factor, in our geography as well. Okay, in the geography location factor, coal becomes important. Or there is a topic in your main exam that is distribution of the mineral resources. So there also coal becomes important. Not only in India, they can ask in the context of the world also, right? Because coal becomes important. So not only in GS3, in the GS1, in the prelims, obviously it is important. That is why we are discussing. Apart from prelims, it is important in GS3 and will also be important for the GS1 as well. Okay, so keep that in mind while preparing. Next is report of the 15th Finance Commission. So 15th Finance Commission, we have discussed that it was constituted under the chairmanship of N.K. Singh. N.K. Singh committee has already been used in use for FRBM earlier, right? So interestingly, they have given the recommendation for only 1 year. Later, they will give the recommendation for the 5 year, and that report will come in the October 30. So that report also becomes important for your main examination whenever it will come, because the recommendation of the finance commissions will be very important, and especially that will be a scenario, I believe that will be a scenario of the post-COVID world, post-COVID scenario. So they will consider the many considerations of the COVID will also come into being, because the government will obviously breach its FRBM limits and how much state should be given. So that report will be very critical, that finance commission report, because previously the finance commission, when it was in the news, the question has come in the prelims as well as in the mains. Okay, right. So what about this 1 year, what they have basically decided? So for 1 year they have said 42% devolution, vertical so finance, I think these are very basic things. So they do two things, right? Vertical devolution majorly, but from center to state, and there is a horizontal devolution among the states and the states, different states, right? So vertical devolution, 14th Finance Commission said 42% should be devolved from the center to the state taxable pool, right? And this time they have said it should be 41%. So what 1% they have cut, it is for the Union Territory of Ladakh, because state has been converted to the Union Territory. Okay, so that is not very important, but important part is this horizontal devolution and the formula. In fact, this formula is always very important for the prelims and comparison between the 14th Finance Commission and the 15th Finance Commission. Okay, now if you remember, 15th Finance Commission TOR, term of reference, have been with controversy in 2019. I think 2019 they have asked question in the main exam as well about the TOR. Okay, so what are the weightage? 2019 or 2018? I think 2018 they have asked. Okay, So what are the different criteria? First of all, population, let us consider. So 14 finance commission versus the 15 finance commission. We also have the chart to compare. So 14 finance commission, it has 27.5% for the population. Okay, it included, just one second, it included 1971 population also and 2011 population also, right? It comprises of 17.5, it comprises of 10%. Now this criteria has been removed and population has been only 15%, but 15% of 2011 census. Now first of all, understand this. Then you can see demographic performance, they have given 12.5%. So this is not good for South Indian states, but this is good for South Indian states. So they have tried to balance both, isn't it? Okay, fine. Then area, it's been constant, area of the state. Then forest and the ecology, they have increased. Earlier it was 7.5%, they have increased to 10%. So this is the formula according to which the money will be distributed. Those 41% that money came from the center among the state, this whole pool of 41% will be distributed to different states. I hope that is very clear and very static part, right? What the things they have added? Income distance. Income distance, they have increased, they have reduced 5%. So what they have reduced, what they have increased, and most importantly, what new parameters that they have increased. Tax effort, you can see 2.5%, because there have been an conscious effort from the government side. If you have seen the economic survey and all, you can see there has been a conscious effort to increase the tax efforts of these states. First of all, states, and also the local bodies, ULBs and the panchayats, because these are not collecting tax as per their requirement. Okay, so understand the horizontal devolution. So this is the horizontal devolution, different criteria, and this is what the changes are, right? And apart from that, some grants will be there. Revenue deficit grants, grants to the local body, disaster management grants are there. They have also included the framework for the special grant and the performance based grant. So if you remember, performance based grant has been in controversy also, because the states have that center is arm twisting them, right? This is the constitutional rights of the state. How can center arm twist the state into these grants, right? So that was the controversy. So they have included the performance linked grants for the agricultural act to the benefit. Then measures for cleaner city will gain more. So those are the parameters on which performance based grants will be given. I think this much information is enough for us. More importantly, for finance commission, as the new report is due in the October 30, that will be a more comprehensive report, right? For this year's report, this for prelims purposes, our horizontal and vertical devolution, that would be sufficient, right? So which states have gained, which states have lost, not too much important, because this will be too much factual detail, right? Next is elephant bond. So elephant bond has not been launched, it is a proposal, first of all. So the one of the government panel has proposed to come up with the elephant bond. So what is elephant bond basically? So it will provide some sort of amnesty scheme is there. So if people have undisclosed income, so they have to invest around 50% if they want to come out and they want to show, they want to get this money, that earlier whatever means they accumulated that money, if they want to show their money, and the penalty they have to face, some sort of penalty is there. So they have to invest at least 50% of the money in the elephant bonds for 25 years, because the sources are undisclosed, right? And after that the money will become white. Okay, and this money will be utilized for the infrastructure project. Now you can see from where the money for national infrastructure pipeline that we have discussed, that from where that money will come from. So these are the proposal to, I hope you have read about a national infrastructure pipeline. We have already discussed previously in detail, different proposal, different sector contribution. So please see that. So you can see all the PDFs are available on our Telegram channel. So right, so the money of this, what will be the source of that money? They have launched around 100 lakh crore worth of project. So from where the money will come, especially post COVID, right? A lot of government finances are going into the firefighting of this crisis, right? Next is IREDA and the green window. So IREDA mulls a $100 million green window for financing renewable projects, right? So what is green window basically? So green window is sort of a platform to provide the green finances. Green finances means finance into the field for renewable projects, or putting some energy efficient things into the traditional, for example, coal or something like that, right? Making them more sustainable or more greener method. Okay, so to increase the investment in the green energy and bring green energy financing into the mainstream, so it will act like a green window or a green bank. Okay, increasing the investment into these things. Now these have been a successful model in the countries like UK, Australia, Japan and Malaysia. Now also there is also point of having green banks and green windows. Why? Because there are many investors who want to invest, but they want to invest in the renewable project. Two purposes are there. First of all, in future they see the growth of it, that these sectors will grow a lot. Secondly, they are also environmentally conscious investor. They do not want to invest in the projects that, for example, someone is environmentally conscious. So these platforms provide them a avenue so as to invest in the sectors which are more pro sustainability, isn't it? Right. One thing we should discuss here about this IREDA. So it's a leading financial institution, from the name itself, Renewable Energy Development Agency, for the clean energy expansion. We have to focus on few things. So under which category it lies? So it's a mini Ratna first of all, and secondly, it's a NBFC under the RBI. It's an NBFC under the RBI, and it's a registered under the Companies Act with the motto of Energy Forever. Okay, right. Next is Northeast Natural Gas Pipeline Grid. So from the name itself, Northeast Natural Gas Pipeline Grid. Okay, so some sort of grid will be established for giving the natural gas into the Northeast, right? So they connect all the 8 states. First of all, you need to keep that in mind. All the 8 states of the Northeastern region will be connected, right? So around 1600 kilometer gas pipeline will be laid to be set up by the Indradhanush Gas Grid Limited. It is a part of the hydrocarbon vision 2030 for Northeast. Now for the Northeast, if any steps you have to take, what developmental steps have been taken, you can give this example, right? Okay, so idea is to ensure the uninterrupted supply of the LPG and other value added products. And when this is, you can also see this as a foundational or infrastructural thing. If these pipelines are once established, then the factories like fertilizer industry and all the industries can also be set up in these northeastern states. So this is sort of a infrastructural thing, also infrastructural investment into this Northeast, right? Okay, then, so leveraging the hydrocarbon potential, development of the industrial climate without impacting the environment, industrial domestic PNG and the CNG, right? So it will have socio-economic and the environmental benefits. So please read it out. Not very important for main itself, but for the main, not very important topic for main also. It can be used as an initiative to bring about the economic development of the Northeast. And you can use all these examples when you're writing about the internal security situation of the Northeast itself, right? When you write about the steps, writing these steps give the more boost to your answer, because you're writing very current affair stuffs. Right. Next is ITR, income tax return. Two things are there, Sahaj and Sugam. So this is very relatively technical for our purposes. They will not ask technical detail, but they will ask something like that, ITR, Sahaj or Sugam, or they can ask this itself. Sahaj and Sugam are in the news. What are these things? So they are nothing but the income tax return type of forms. Nothing more than that will be asked. I'm telling you, right? So please focus. If the question just comes on ITR Sahaj and ITR Sugam, what are these things? If they do not ask ITR, Sahaj and Sugam are these things. Right. Next is hallmarking made must for the gold jewelry. Now the question on Ecomark has already been asked. They have asked question on the star labeling, so they can ask question on the hallmarking as well. So hallmarking, you have must be seen so many of the advertisements that come, right? So one of the advertisements also come for the hallmarking, that always buy the jewelry which has the hallmark in it. So hallmarking is given by the BIS. Okay. So right. So it's a purity certification. It protects the public against the lower caratage and ensure consumer do not get cheated while buying the gold ornament. So what are the things are mentioned in the gold ornament? So BIS, Bureau of Indian Standards logo is there. Then purity of the gold, right? What carat gold is there? Then assay center, where the assessment has been done. Then jewelers identification mark and year of hallmarking. So these things are mentioned. New rules have also says that this much carat gold, 14, 18, 22 carat gold must be sold with hallmarking. If you sell without hallmarking, then the jewelers will also be charged 5 times more than the cost of the project, and the punishment, or even the punishment up to 1 year, right? So hallmarking becomes important for this year. Not very important, I'll say, but still, right? You should focus, keep that in mind. Okay, then with this we finish our session. So we are done with our January month. Session 1 is also already there, and session 2 is this. So we have discussed Minerals Law Amendment Ordinance Act. I told you that is very important. Some of the provisions you can see departure from the past practices on the lines have been done on the oil and the gas field. All right. Then a report for the 15th Finance Commission. The devolution they have decreased, and some changes they have made in the horizontal devolution formula. So keep that in mind. Then elephant bond we have discussed. Elephant bond for the bringing the some sort of amnesty scheme and using that money for the infrastructural project. I give reference to the infrastructure pipeline. You can give example. Now, for example, question being asked, I can tell you how you should use it. For example, this may not be asked in prelims because it has been at the proposal level. So you can use this elephant bank. So, for example, question comes on the infrastructure, for example, how you will fund it. So you can say a government panel has said that we should float some sort of elephant bond. So that gives you a very concrete way forward. Instead of writing very generic way forward, that gives a more concrete way forward. Okay, why I'm discussing this main also thing, because currently majority of the students are in the main mode, right? So if you're watching this video, you should also get the feel of it, right? Okay, please do register in our mains master program. It's a wonderful program. It's been launched as I've discussed in the first video also. So please do see that. Then IREDA and the green window. So green window we have discussed. So you can also take care of, you can also see we have also discussed about REEDA also, right? Then Northeast natural gas pipeline grid, we have discussed that part of the hydrocarbon vision for Northeast. Okay. Then we have discussed two forms, Sahaj and Sugam. And finally, we ended with discussion on the hallmarking for the gold jewelry. So with this, we finish our session. So we are done with our January economy. What I plan for February, 1, 2, for example, we'll have February and March. We have 4 sessions, right? Economy. In one of the 4 sessions, 2 of the 4 session, one session I'll discuss in detail about insolvency and bankruptcy code, and in one session I'll discuss in detail about Basel. Okay, because these are one of the 2 tricky topics in economy. So I'll take time and I'll discuss those topics in relatively more detail. Okay, then see you in the next class. Thank you, everyone. Please do register in our mains master. As I told you, it's a really wonderful program. Of senior faculties, including myself, we are leading this program, and it is certainly will help you to develop that aptitude for answer writing, and also will help you in the content building as well. Okay, then see you in the next class. Thank you.